And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And looking forward to having our conversation today here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. So appreciate you being here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the world. Of course, in our first home of Central and Upstate New York, our second home of Florida, and beyond that, we appreciate you being here with us, spending some time Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You know, on Thursdays, it's the PJ Takeover, so Papa Joe joining me here today on our Thursday broadcast of Wake Up Call. We're going to be speaking on Major League Baseball as well as the NFL and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And before we get started with anything else, I want to let people know that, of course, today we are wearing blue on April 18th in our community of Central and Upstate New York, and anywhere else that you are. Even if you're out of the community in support of law enforcement, we are wearing blue today. So I put on my Dallas Cowboys star and am proudly wearing blue in support of our law enforcement and the wonderful officers, men and women, that put their lives on the line every single day to make sure that we get home safe. And like I said on Monday, they do everything in their power to make sure we get home safe, and we have to do a better job of making sure that they do too. So I'm happy to be here with you this morning. I'm grateful to be here with you this morning, and I look forward to the conversation we're going to have, as well as fully understanding that there's bigger things going on in this world, and there's more that we can do. And wearing blue to show solidarity is a beautiful thing, and keeping that solidarity in word and deed is even more important. So I pray for my community. I pray for everyone that's passed on. I pray for those perpetrators that want to or have done bad things to stop. And I pray for the victims to heal. I pray for the perpetrators to heal. And people say, why do you pray for the perpetrators? Pray for the victim. I said, I pray for the perpetrators because if you don't pray for the perpetrators to change for the better and to come to God, then there will always be more victims. So I pray for the perpetrator. I pray for the victims. I pray for those that do wrong to start doing right. And I pray for those that are hurt to have peace and an end to their hurting in a beautiful and good way. I stand here this morning. I sit here this morning. I am here this morning with everything inside of me wanting you to know, law enforcement officials, wherever you are, that I respect you. I appreciate you. I thank you. I know there's a lot of good people out there in law enforcement, and without you, we would have chaos, calamity. This world would be burning down right now. And I don't think that people fully know that. You've been judged based on a few people, and those people should have never been law enforcement people. But you've been judged because of a few people. And it's funny because nobody likes to be judged because of a few people. But then they judge police officers and law enforcement over a few people. What a hypocritical thing to do. And without law and order, there is a very, very big hit to freedom. And I don't think that we take the time to thank our police officers, to thank our sheriffs and our deputies and our troopers and our U.S. military, our Navy, our Coast Guard, our National Guard, our Army, our Air Force. You know, we go about life in America saying whatever we want to say and doing whatever we want to do, but we forget that there's people that gave their lives so that we could do those things and say those things. And today is a day where we wear blue, and today is a day where we say enough is enough. But it is my hope and my prayer that we live this way every day, that enough is enough, that we're not going to stand for it, And I think New York State has a lot of work to do. I think that the people that represent us are doing a terrible job at that. Not all of them, but some of them in high places. And I'm not here to be political. I'm not here to be Democrat or Republican. I'm here to say that there's a lot of things in New York State that prevent good people from being safe and really help criminals to continue to do bad things. And I'm hoping that in a tragic, tragic moment in our society, in my hometown, this will somehow end with us making reforms to our government, changes to our laws, and a return to law and order in the state of New York so that people can go to sleep safer and so that criminals know that there are prices to pay and repercussions for their actions. The only thing that we could do moving forward is to do better. And our officials are supposed to represent us, protect us, serve us, and make sure that we're safe. They're not doing that. It's clear. And the good that can come out of this horrible, horrible time, and no one should have to die for something to be done, but for some odd reason in our society, people have to go through tragedy in order to realize and appreciate things, and I don't get that, and I hope that that changes. But where we are right now in central and upstate New York and the state of New York, since New York City and us are vastly different, yet we are at the mercy of their law, changes need to be made, and hopefully something positive and good can come out of this, that those that died in the line of fire, those that agreed to protect and serve, hopefully the laws surrounding this state and everyone for that matter will honor them and move forward and make amendments and changes to actually protect and serve the people of New York. I pray for every soul, and I pray for those that passed, and I pray for their loved ones. In Jesus' name, amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Welcome to today's show. Thank you for giving me the time to say that. We're here inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Papa Joe is with us this morning, as he is on Thursdays. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball, the NFL, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are exactly 1 week from the NFL draft, and so it is fast approaching, and that means that my mock draft with Al Romano, who won a championship nationally with Tony Dorsett when he was a member of the Pitt Panthers at the University of Pittsburgh, he will be joining me once again at Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York, on draft night, Thursday, April 25th, a week from today. We will be unveiling our mock draft. I don't see Al's. He doesn't see mine. We draft the first 32 picks, the entire round one, and we prognosticate and go back and forth and see what we agree on, what we disagree on. We do the show live for the people there, live worldwide on all the channels you're on now, Facebook, as well as YouTube, and our Podbean link to our internet streaming radio. We do the show live at 6 o'clock, run through our whole mock draft, and bring you right into the actual draft at 8 o'clock, and then we stay at Pizza Man and hang out with all of you in the community and see if our picks were right. So we look forward to having some fun with you, making some history, and having some laughs. With that being said, Papa Joe is here with me this morning, and I love him dearly, and MT, and my big brother Joey. So with that being said, I bring him in. PJ, how we doing?
Morning, Daniel. Everything's fine. Beautiful weather down here, of course. I understand the weather's breaking up there for you a little bit. That's good. Put your shorts on and start walking around.
Already done that. So.
Well, I tell you, one thing I'm going to advise you to do is get a damn gun. That's for sure. Go through the course, get a gun, and keep it with you.
Yeah, it's a sad day. It's a sad day when law enforcement doesn't feel safe, and you know the biggest thing beyond the fact of wanting the families to be okay and hoping that they have what they need and that they know that they're in our prayers, and that, we do right by the families, and, by the children that are in these families, especially, that now have to grow up without a parent because someone decided to be an idiot. So when we look at this, and we look at, moving forward, we got to work together. We got to help each other. And I think, I was with my priest yesterday, and we were discussing this, and how, the Catholic Church gets involved and what the Catholic Church does to help. And I said the only thing worse than the tragedy is that if a cop goes in and puts their badge on the table and says, I can't do this anymore. And that ripple effect would be a horrible thing to society. It would be a horrible thing for our community. So it is my prayer to every law enforcement official that's listening, that's watching, wherever you are, as well as, everybody that knows somebody in law enforcement that is listening and watching today. I ask you to hold on. I ask you in this terrible time to remember why you got in, and the beautiful, beautiful, wonderful thing that you do in protecting total strangers, to know how much you're appreciated, to know how much you're loved, to know how much you're thanked for all that you're doing. And it is my prayer and my hope that those that have the badge and those that have gone out with that badge, that they don't set that badge down on a table and say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I had a friend that, had to go through that with his family, and he had to decide with his family what he was going to do. And, he's got 2 little kids, and he's got a wife, and he was a cop down in New York City. And he was dealing with all that stuff down in New York, and trying to figure out, like, is this going to be my life for the rest of my life? And do I want to put my family through this? And all that stuff. So, it is my hope and my prayer today that those of you that have decided to give and decided to, protect and serve, that how much you're loved, and how much you're loved, how much you're appreciated, and that you don't give up on our community, you don't give up on each other, and you don't give up on your dreams. As hard as it is right now, I hope you stand tall, and we don't say it enough, but I hope you're appreciated, and I hope that every law enforcement officer that walks around New York State today, I hope you see a sea of blue. I hope the color you see more than any color everywhere you go is blue, because we do appreciate you, and we do love you, and we do not want you to give up, and we do need you. We do need you. And it's a shame to have to say it now, but we do need you. And I've always respected that. But I hope they can see it today, PJ, and I hope that they don't turn their badge in.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So PJ and I here on the show today, we're going to start with baseball, and we'll work our way through from one field to the next onto football. And I'm going to unleash you like I always do, PJ. So what are your thoughts on the world of baseball? I know you want to go through your standings and let people know where we're at and what's going on, so I hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you. There's a little bit of sadness this morning. This past week, we lost 2 of our super old Hall of Fame players and managers. One of them was Whitey Herzog, who was a manager for several years at different places. He even played for 8 years. But he took the St. Louis Cardinals to the 82 World Series and won it. And God bless him, he died at 92. And this is even better. Now, I don't know if you remember Whitey Herzog, and I know you don't remember Carl Erskine. You're way too young for that. Mm-hmm. But Carl Erskine just died also. He was one of the Dodgers, the original Dodgers, back at Ebbets Field in New York City. He just died at 98. So there's some longevity out there for baseball players. And to make it even better, is there's only one person back then, from that era, there's only one person that's a Hall of Famer and a special person that's still alive. And his name is Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax, as we speak, is 88 years old. Now, Sandy Koufax every year goes to the spring training with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Every year he doesn't miss it at all. He may not do as much as he used to, but he gives guys, he talks with guys, shows them how to grip a ball, how to come through it. He doesn't pay pitch or anything like that because he's that old, but he's an extraordinary guy, and he retired early. I think he retired when he was 29 or something like that. So actually, for all these years, I don't know what he's been doing. Probably selling a lot of baseball cards. But it's sad to see two guys like that perish, and we got one that's going to stay with us, Sandy Koufax. So kudos to Sandy. All right, let me go through some stuff here. I know everything's not quite as important as what you were talking about, but we do have to get to baseball. Let's go through the standings real quick. The American League East, the Yankees are 13-6, followed by the Orioles at 12-6. Both of these teams are playing way over their head right now. The Yankees especially, because they don't have any pitching, but they're getting it done. Orioles have won 4 in a row, creeping up on the Yankees. This division is strange for the following. All 5 teams are over 500.
Yeah.
That means somewhere else they're not doing too well, and that's the West. So I'll get to that in a second. We go to the Central. Got the Cleveland Guardians are leading at 12-6. Kansas City is 12-7. Detroit is 10-8, and then is followed by Minnesota and Chicago. It's tough. It's tough to win games this time of the year if you don't have strong pitching. Cleveland has one of the best players in baseball, in Jose Ramirez. Every year he's thought of as a most valuable player candidate, and he's doing this year to carry his team. In the West, here's where it gets interesting. The Texas Rangers are leading the division at 10-9. Now think about that. Followed by the Angels at 9-9. Everyone else has a losing record. So I ask you, where did all those wins come from? They came from the American League East. They have the 500, and the West has below 500. So that's your little tidbit for today. In the National League, we got the Braves in the East leading at 12-5. They figured to be there. They've won 4 in a row. Followed by the Phillies, 11-8. They've won 3 in a row. And the Mets, surprising Mets, are 10-8, and they've won 4 in a row.
Yeah.
So they're starting to heat it up a little bit, which is good. Good to see. I want to see New York teams do well. We go to the Central Division. We got the Brewers leading at 11-6, followed by the Cubs and Pittsburgh. Cubs at 11-7, Pittsburgh 10-8. This division, I don't think much of the Central divisions at all in either league. This one may surprise me, but it's still real early, and there's nothing conformed yet. They're just playing ball. That's all. When it gets serious after the All-Star break, then we'll see where we are. In the West, we got the Dodgers leading at 10-9 or 12-9. The Padres at 11-10. Everyone else is far back, including your Diamondbacks, are only 9-10. So they got to pick it up a little bit. They're not hitting too well. Corbin Carroll's not doing much of anything right now. Marte's carrying them. They got decent pitching, but once they get into the schedule a little bit more, they're going to have to step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
For some of the stats, Jose Altuve from Houston. Now that Houston is in last place. Last place. The Rangers are in first place, barely over 500. Houston is 6-14. I mean, they have a World Series team every year. They lost 3 in a row. They can't seem to buy a break. They can't seem to hit the ball well. But anyway, Altuve's hitting .387, and that's leading all the American League. So kudos to Jose. Now, my main man, Mike Trout, is leading the league in home runs. He's got 8. Remember what I said last week about Mike Trout? He'll hit home runs, but they won't pitch to him where there's men on bases. What I mean by that, they'll be real careful with him. They'll try to get him to chase a ball out of the strike zone, in the dirt, and occasionally he'll do that. But for his 8 home runs He's only got 11 RBIs. That tells you why. So if they catch Mike Trout with men on base, you better be careful because he's a killer. I mean, he may slow down a little bit, but he's leading the league with 8 home runs and only 11 RBIs. Tyler Ward has got 20 RBIs. Paul Blackburn, his Oakland, has got a couple of victories, and he's got a 0 ERA, which is great. Play home to the Yankees, has 6 saves. We go to the National League. We got Arcea of Atlanta's hitting 377. Mookie Betts is 369. And your boy Ohtani's hitting 360. Unbelievable. Those guys are tearing the cover off the ball. Marcell Ozuna has 8 home runs, and Ozuna's got 23 RBIs. You see the difference between the two leagues right there with the home run leaders. Trout has 8 home runs with 11 RBIs. Ozuna has 8 home runs, 23 RBIs. So you tell me what's happening. Yeah, Reynoso Lopez has a .50 ERA, doing great for Pittsburgh or Atlanta, I would just say. Ryan Hessler and Cal Finnegan both have 7 saves. So, and at least there is some good news for Houston or Texas or whatever. Justin Verlander will be starting this weekend after his long recovery. He'll go for another arm surgery. I'm hoping that he can get through it okay. I'm sure he'll get it out maybe 5 innings or so, maybe 6. All depends. There's something there's a couple other things I want to say. Again, there's a couple guys on the disabled list. Christian Yelich from my Brewers. Every year something's wrong with this kid. After he won his most valuable player, he fell off the end of the earth. I don't know what's happened to him. He doesn't look the same. He's lost steps. He's lost his eye at the plate. I don't get it. Ozzie Albies is on the DL2 with a broken toe. Yelich has got a back problem. At 15 games, 15 games is a lot. I mean, especially if like Albies can't run. I mean, that's serious. So, and there's something else. Just briefly, I want to go over, and this is what I try to pay attention to on a regular basis, and that's the farm systems. You hear me say a lot about how the money these guys put in their farm systems and the players and so on and so on and so on. They're all ranked sort of alike. And for me to go through the ranking would be redundant, and it probably wouldn't mean a lot to a lot of people out there. But for one, I'll tell you the one that excels. And they have 3 tiers that these guys draw from. When they put their players in these tiers, Tier 1 is an all-star. Tier 2 is an impact player. Tier 3 is a fringe player, which means he's in and out of minor league, major league, minor league traded, and so on. The Cubs have got the best farm system. They got 12 all-stars ranked number 1 in their farm system. So it's looking pretty good, and you want to know why Brett Counsell took that job from Milwaukee. That's why. You got a farm system like that, and he's got good players already. So that's where we are, Daniel. Not a lot to talk about. There's a couple teams are playing better than others, but a couple of guys are hitting better than others. But it's too early in the season to really come up with anything consistent. I'm still looking for some top tier pitchers to get rolling. Some of the hitters that are starting to perk up a little bit. Your man Carroll, I think, is hitting 224. He's got to do a lot better than that. And the Dodgers and the Braves are still leading their divisions. The Dodgers not quite as much as the Braves, vice versa. They both have good pitching. They both have extraordinary hitting. I'm still waiting for the Dodgers to get their pitchers going. They got Yamamoto there, and he won his last time out, thank goodness. Walker Buehler didn't last very long on his. So there's, last week I talked a lot about the disabled list of pitchers and players that don't take care of themselves. And you can see it. Every week it goes by, something else is going to happen. Why? Because they don't take care of themselves in the off season. That's just my opinion. I think they probably do, but they don't do it enough. Now, Justin Verlander is going to come off this disabled list, and he's going to start pitching, which is good. I want to see that. But a guy like Spencer Strider, who was a superior pitcher for Atlanta, winds up on a DL. He's out for the whole year.
Yeah.
Probably won't be till the middle of next year. So there's just not a lot of good things to talk about when you're talking about pitchers.
Yeah,
so, we'll probably that's it in a nutshell, Daniel. There's other things to yak about, but go ahead.
Yeah, and this when we look at what's going on, and as always, I appreciate you running through the league and letting us know how everybody's doing and going division by division so that we give respect and some time to all 30 of the franchises in some way, shape, and form. The Arizona Diamondbacks, as everybody knows, in the comfort of my own home, that's the team that I'm a fan of. As a broadcaster, I'm impartial. The Diamondbacks this season, they won their first series, which was against Colorado, 3-1. They lost their second series, which is against the Yankees, 1-2. They got blown away by I don't want to say blown away because, there were close moments. There was a 10-inning game. There was a 9-8 game. There was a 7-5 game, or a 9-inning game. And there was a 10-inning game that ended 6-5, and there was a 9-8 game and a 5-2 game. But they lost the whole series to the Braves. Then they faced the Rockies again. They beat them 2-1. Then they faced the Cardinals. They beat them 2-1. And they just faced the Cubs. And 2 out of 3 games in the series went to extra innings. Won 11 innings. Won 10 innings. They won the 10-inning one. They lost the 11-inning one, 3-2. They won the 10-inning, which was the second game, 12-11. And then they lost 5-3. Those games were at home. And, so, looking at this, you're saying, okay, they've won some series. They've done some things. They also had a stretch where they lost 5 games in a row. So the Arizona Diamondbacks, they got to get it figured out. They have their pitchers, which a lot of teams don't right now. God bless. So they have their pitchers. They have those guys in rotation. You got Brandon Pfaadt. You got Merrill Kelly. You have Zach Gallen, and so on and so forth. And, they're supposed to have these bats and these guys that are doing some good things. And they've proven that they can hit, but they got to keep these teams down. They played a bunch of extra inning games this season in a very young season for the Arizona Diamondbacks. We take a look at the fact that they have a record, like PJ said, of 9-10 in 19 games this season. They have already played in extra innings 4 times in those 19 games. So looking at that and saying, okay, obviously they can push it to the end and they could push it beyond the end. But, defensively, things got to get better. Pitching wise, got to be able to, keep these teams at bay and knock them out, because the Diamondbacks have proven that they can hang. They can hit and they can get after it. They're not a team that is out there getting blown out in games, but they have had some games where, there's one game against the Cardinals where they didn't score a single run, and there's been a bunch of games where they've had 2 runs. So, those bats will get heated up and they'll have, 15 runs in a game, but then they'll go more quiet. And the one thing that you hope is consistent is their defense and their pitching, because you're not always going to hit the ball in such a big way. They did have another game too where they scored 0. So, they gotta become more positively consistent, not occasionally good, but they have to be consistently getting after it in a positive way. So hoping to see that as they step forward into their first series with the San Francisco Giants this season. That's all going to be on the road in San Francisco. It starts tonight. It ends on Sunday, and we can actually watch the game tonight on Fox Sports 1. So I can watch the Diamondbacks on the East Coast Thursday, April 18th at 9:45, which is perfect because I'm going to be at GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night, where you could buy, sell, and trade cards together, hosted by GG Cards and Breaks in partnership with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, on site at the Wildcat Sports Pub. So I'm going to be at the Wildcat from 6:30 to 9:30, and then at 9:45, my Diamondbacks come on. That sounds like a pretty awesome night for me, and maybe I'll find some Diamondbacks cards while I'm at GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night. Come and visit us tonight, April 18th, 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. at the Wildcat on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. The other part of, something I want to discuss here is that the Oakland Athletics, the situation that they're in. Now, you got to give them a shout out because this might not happen throughout the year, or it might. But the Oakland Athletics currently right now are not the worst team in the AL West. The Houston Astros, as you mentioned, PJ, are at the bottom of the AL West with a record of 6-14. The Oakland Athletics are not the worst team in baseball. Thank you, Houston. The Oakland Athletics are 8-11 at the time that we're talking about this. The worst team in baseball is actually a tie between the Colorado Rockies and the Miami Marlins. The Marlins made the playoffs last year. The Rockies did not. They're both 4-15 they're the second worst teams in baseball. The Chicago White Sox are 3-15. So Chicago on the American League side and in all of 30 franchises in Major League Baseball is the worst team in baseball by record. The Chicago White Sox are 3-15. The worst team in the National League is a tie for the second worst record in all of baseball currently, and that is the Colorado Rockies, Miami Marlins, 4-15. So I do have to shout out the Chicago White Sox for, in an interesting way, shouting out my area code of my hometown. Their record of 3-15 is 315, which is also the area code for Syracuse, New York. So thank you, Chicago, for, in a not great start to the season, finding a positive with that. Hopefully the White Sox bats will wake up. But looking at the Oakland Athletics, they're in a really unique scenario. They told Oakland, we're leaving. But they don't have a home to go to, and a home that's just their home. We'll get into where they're playing. They don't have they told Oakland, all right, this ain't going to work out. But then they're still the Oakland Athletics, and they're still in California, and they said they were going to Vegas, but Vegas ain't going to be ready until 2028, and it's 2024. So this is a plan. I'm going to tell you what's happening right now. The Oakland Athletics announced the decision to play at the Sacramento River Cats from 2025 to 2027 with an option for 2028 after they didn't reach an agreement to extend their lease in Oakland. So the Oakland Athletics in 2024, they're living their best life in Oakland. Then they're going to be going to Sacramento, California, leaving Oakland to spend their home games at Sutter Health Park in Sacramento, the home of the Sacramento River Cats, who are the AAA farm team in the Pacific Coast League to the San Francisco Giants. So Oakland said last year, we're gone. Then they said, hey, can we stay in Oakland even though we said we're leaving? Can we hang out for another year? And then they're going to Sacramento for 3 years, maybe 4, and then they're going to Vegas. So they said last year, we're not going to be the Oakland Athletics anymore. We're going to be the Las Vegas Athletics. But that's not going to happen until 2028 at the earliest. This sounds like nobody had a plan. How is this organization being run where you don't form an extension with Oakland, California? You don't have a plan to stay in Oakland. You have to now tell your fans to go to Sacramento, and you agreed to go to Vegas, but Vegas doesn't have a stadium for you, and they don't have anything for you until maybe 4 years from now. This, to me, as an analogy for you folks out there, this is like breaking up with your girlfriend or boyfriend and then asking them if you can still live in the apartment while you figure things out. What are your thoughts, PJ?
Oakland is well, I go back a long way with Oakland when they won the championships. Raleigh Fingers was a reliever back then. Reggie Jackson was playing. They won 3 World Series, I think, in 5 years or something like that. But there's a reason why everyone's pissed off at Oakland. Mainly because they got a terrible team. Now you can't blame the fans for this, okay? You got to blame the management, the ownership for this. I'm looking at Oakland in front of me here now. Their leading hitter is hitting 243. Now, I'm going to tell you, the first 9 players here are their starting lineup. They hit 205, 243, 218, 192, 192, 250, 196, 157, 178. Where the hell are you going with that? You're not going anywhere with that. I don't care what kind of pitching you got, and it's pretty decent. And I'll pull it up. Yeah, Blackburn is a guy that's got 25 innings and hasn't barely got one run against him. So if they go to a minor league park, which I understand this place is fairly decent, but it's only got 12,000 seats. I don't look for them to be making any kind of move with their roster until such time as they acquire the monies to build this stadium. Now, if you were Las Vegas or you were Oakland and you want to travel to Las Vegas and watch you, why would you travel to watch a team this poor? It's terrible. It's terrible. And there's no one to blame but the ownership and the manager. It's certainly not the manager. I mean, the manager, he's doing what he can do with the players he's got. The general manager needs to get some players if they want to be serious about this. They want to seriously be a major league ball club. You're not going to do that when your leading hitter is hitting 243. Now, come on. Now, from an economic standpoint, I imagine it's probably going to be fruitful for them to move. I don't know what their deal is going to be, but someone's going to have to pay for that stadium. It's not going to be them. It's probably going to be the people of Las Vegas, probably with a 1 cent sales tax addition or something like that. You know, I don't think that Oakland is looking through things through the regular glasses here. I don't. What they should do is they need to stay where they are in Oakland. Come up with a deal with the city. You know, nothing exorbitant. You know, they're not a very good team. They don't draw very well. So build a roster a little bit. Get some entertainment going. Get some kudos going for the guys. You know, win 2-3 games in a row. You know, draw the people back in to watch them play ball. I think they don't move. In my opinion, they shouldn't go anywhere, especially with a team like this. And if their farm system is as bad as I think it is, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, it's not. This isn't a great plan. You know what I mean? It's your lease is up in Oakland. You're not going to have a stadium in Vegas until 2028, maybe. So your lease goes up. You say you're going to go to this city of Vegas, but Vegas doesn't have anything for you. And so you're like, okay, so we're going to leave Oakland, we're going to go to Sacramento, then we're going to go to Vegas, maybe at some point, hopefully soon. I mean, it just sounds completely out of whack. And this is not something that you want to sell to your fans. This is not something that I really think you can sell to your fans of like, hey, it's going to all work out. We're going to do this, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this. And I just want to let people know, you know, to get from Oakland to Sutter Health Park, where the Oakland Athletics are currently playing, to the home of the Sacramento River Cats, where they're going to be playing from 2025 through 2027, maybe 2028, it's over an hour away. This is not something that's down the road. This is not something that's get on the highway, take 3 exits and get off. This is something that brings you from the edge of California into California. And, you know, people talk about California traffic all the time. I can't pretend to know it, but you got to get on I-80, and you're going to have to take I-80. I think it's like, 780 to I-80, but you take I-80 here and you make your way over to Sutter Health Park. So now your fans have watched a losing team. Your fans have watched a team have an atrocious season last year and be at the bottom of Major League Baseball's 30 franchises. And now you're going to tell that team that they're moving, and you're going to tell the city of Oakland that they're moving, and all those fans in Oakland that they're moving. And now you're going to ask those fans to not only be okay that they're leaving the state of California, eventually for Nevada, to go to Las Vegas, but in the meantime to still support the team that's leaving your state and your city by driving an hour to Sacramento. So, yes, we're leaving you. No, we're not going to be here. But for the next 3 years, we didn't have a good enough plan. So can you, the fans who are taking the franchise away from, drive an hour to Sacramento before we end up leaving you for good? That doesn't sound like a nice promotional plan, PJ.
No, I mean, look at cooler heads have got to prevail here. Go back to the city of Oakland. Sit down at the table. You heard me say this a million times. Don't leave this room until you got a deal. Bring ice water and some pizza. Put it in the middle of the table, and we don't leave this room until you got a deal. Oakland, make a deal with this team and try to help them out. See if you can help them out with a longer term and maybe upscale your stadium a little bit. They don't need to leave Oakland. They don't need to leave. If they got a better deal, I think they can stay. They can be competitive. You know, people always make a big thing about teams going to a new location. Oh, it's pie in the sky type stuff. Opening day, they got 50,000 people. They're having fun. All of a sudden, the next day, they got 10. Why? Because the team isn't very good. You go to an opening day because it's exciting, but nothing Oakland's doing right now is exciting. The only thing they should do, in my opinion, is to sit down with Oakland and come up with a deal where they can maybe pay, don't pay as much rent as they have to. Come up with a 3-year plan or something. And maybe Oakland will help them build a stadium. But for them to go to Las Vegas with this kind of climate, I don't go for that.
No, and it just doesn't make sense. And you know, I mean, if Vegas at any time goes, hey, you know what, we're not going to do it. Now Oakland is out of luck. They're playing in a AAA ballpark. And here's the thing that adds insult to injury. It's like you're playing in a AAA ballpark, but it's not your AAA team. So you're going to go play in the ballpark of the San Francisco Giants, AAA team, the River Cats. And so, I mean, how does that work out? You know what I mean? I mean, do you have to write on the whiteboard and take the whiteboard with you? Do you got to take all the stat sheets with you? Make sure you don't leave any plans there, because you got a Major League Baseball franchise whose farm team is sitting there, and you're a Major League Baseball team. So now you got to watch all your stuff, your P's and Q's. You're going to have to pack up, ship out. You're going to have a movable desk. You can't put any files in there. So it seems like a really just booty backward plan. And doesn't seem to make a lot of sense for anybody involved. And it really just kind of feels like something that was put together as a way of saying we don't know what to do, so this is what we're going to do. And I don't like it. And I don't like it for the Athletic fans. I don't like it for the city of Oakland. I don't like it for anybody in Vegas that's looking forward to this. I mean, think about it. It's hurry up and wait. Last year, we're going to Vegas in 4 years. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen in 4 years. Vegas could turn around and say, you know what? We're going to build the stadium and just bring in our own team, or we're going to get an expansion team. We don't want the Oakland Athletics. We're going to build our own. I mean, for goodness sakes, they got the Raiders, but Las Vegas went and decided that they were going to get their own team in the NHL. Vegas is a hotbed. They've talked about Vegas getting an NBA team. Vegas already has an NHL team. Vegas has stolen away already one team from the city of Oakland in taking the Raiders, who they used to have. So, you know, you have Vegas as a hotbed that has said, give us an NFL team, give us an NHL team. Now we want an NBA team, and we're looking at Major League Baseball. They don't, you know, and they have, you know, you look at the WNBA, and the WNBA, you know, trying to be healthy and trying to prevail, which I hope that it only grows. And they got the Las Vegas Aces, who just won back-to-back championships. So you have that WNBA team where Diasia Fair from Syracuse is going to that team. She got drafted by them in the second round, 16th pick overall. So shout out to Miss Fair, who's heading from Syracuse and everything she did in Syracuse to now become a part of a team that just won back-to-back national championships in the WNBA, that being the Las Vegas Aces. So, you know, I mean, Vegas doesn't really need the Athletics. They can build a stadium and fill it with whoever they want. So I think Oakland is between a rock and a hard place, and I think that this is an unfortunate situation. And the thing is, amidst all of this stuff, they're not winning. amidst all of this stuff, the team's not doing well. So, how do Vegas fans, how do people living in Vegas get psyched to have the worst team in baseball coming to their city in 4 years? So they got to wait for it. And while they're waiting for it, they're watching this team under 500. They're watching them last year be the worst team in baseball. They don't spend a ton of money. So, I mean, PJ, what are we selling here? Hurry up and wait. And in the meantime, while you're waiting 4 years to get this team, you're going to watch them be one of the worst performing teams in baseball. Who wants to have the last team in baseball?
No one does. No one does, which is why I urge the two sides to get together and come up with a compromise so we'll allow Oakland to stay where they are. If they want to continue to build their stadium in Las Vegas, fine. But at least Oakland's getting some type of revenue from the team that's there for 3 years, maybe even 4. And who knows, maybe Oakland will turn around and help them build a stadium there. It's a terrible situation. Before we scoot away from baseball, there are some extraordinary performances right now in the league. And one guy that has been one of my favorite players for the biggest time, which is Mookie Betts, played many years for Boston and was just a killer. Never won the most valuable player because he was always behind Trout. Now he's in the National League, and now he's behind Ohtani. So, but anyway, Mookie Betts, this is what teams strive to be. They strive their leadoff hitter to hit 369, which leads the team. Home runs, he's got 6, leads the team. RBIs, he's got 18, leads the team. On-base percentage is .470, leads the team. And hits, he's got 31, which leads the team. Not only that, he's playing a new position. He used to play the outfield for years. Now he's sticking with shortstop. When you have an extraordinary athlete like Mookie Betts, you want to watch a guy like this. So why would you go from Oakland? Why don't you just drive down to the Dodgers and watch the real team play baseball down there, Ohtani and his boys? So shout out to Mookie Betts. He's a hell of a player, and if he sustains this kind of thing, he'll wind up being the MVP. But it's a long way to go, a long way to go. Injuries come to play, slumps get into play, nagging injuries. So anyway, baseball's it's not too exciting right now, Daniel. Teams are still jockeying for position in their division, and with the ones we talked about, the Marlins and the Oakland, they're not going anywhere, so they're going to still be down. So the rest of the teams have a chance to look at their farm system, maybe bring some guys up and see what's happening.
Yeah, and we shall see. But this baseball world, as it's early on here, hoping that there are some changes that are going to be made and some positives that are going to come for the Oakland A's, and obviously health of these players, these pitchers, that we could get on the right side of things right now, because it's been an unfortunate start to the season. And Spencer Strider going out since last week we talked about all those guys, and you went down the list and we spoke about everybody that's injured and all these things that are going on, and then right after that we get the news about Spencer Strider with the Braves and how sad that is. So hoping for everybody to get healthy, get well, stay safe, do what you need to do, practice those things you need to practice, do those exercises, watch your nutrition, listen to the doc, don't cut corners, and that the things are out of your control, that God will help you with those, or those things that are in your control, that God will help you with those too, and that you all get healthy and you'll get well, and we can watch some baseball with the best of the best instead of watching baseball without the majority of their fantastic pitchers. So and even with Shohei Ohtani, he's on that list, right? Because he's playing but he's not pitching, so they have to put that in there too, that Ohtani and DeGrom and Kershaw and Strider and Cole and so on and so forth, that that we're not talking about a few pitchers being out. We're talking about the aces of baseball having a severe depletion, and we're 20 games into a 162 game season, not including the playoffs. I mean, this is not great. So hopefully they all get healthy. Maybe, hopefully there's a positive in saying, okay, it never positive to see somebody hurt, but it happened now. Let's get them better, and let's have them for the rest of the season. I just hope for, these guys more than anything else that they're healthy for the long haul, because their sons and their brothers and their fathers and their husbands and friends, and I want them to be healthy for their lives more than anything, and I want them to live full lives where they're not in pain. And then in the baseball world, we want to see you and we miss you, and we're 20 games in, and baseball looks different already. So let's get everybody back, God willing, pitchers and fielders and DHs and everybody. And anybody else who's feeling under the weather, we hope you come back very soon. Speaking of coming back, it's exactly 10 o'clock. PJ and I are going to take a step aside as we will jump from one field to the next. We'll go into the NFL. We're a week away from the NFL draft, and we're going to be at Pizza Man for that. When I say we, I mean Al Romano and myself. Off the Rails with Al, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora's special segment we do at Pizza Man is going to be bringing you our mock draft for 2024 on draft night. So at 6 o'clock, we're going to mock draft. At 8 o'clock, the draft is going to happen. See how right we were or weren't, and have some fun with us while we have some awesome pizza and wings and all of those great things at Pizza Man Pub on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York on Thursday, April 25th. At 6 p.m., and the draft starts at 8. We start our live broadcast at 6, exactly a week from today. We'll take a step aside for a fast break, and PJ and I will be back to talk about the NFL and spend some time with the Jaguars right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox.
From Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are hanging out with Papa Joe. As you know, we do every single Thursday on the broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us where sports meets that thing called life. Can't thank you enough for being a part of the show Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And PJ and I are here to talk about the NFL. PJ, here's my question to you. I've had some time with this. I've had some moments with this, but I want to keep the conversation going in this respect. And a good morning to my mom who's watching and listening. Love you, Mama. And, I've been broadcasting for over 20 years. And my mom has watched and or listened to my show for as long as I broadcasted. And before that, when I used to talk about things at the dinner table, Mom was there. So just want to say thank you, Mom, for making me a part of your day every day. Makes me feel like I'm doing something right when my mom is taking the time to support. So I appreciate you, Mom, and I support you right back. And I love that you achieved your dreams of flying the friendlies. And I respect the heck out of you for doing everything you did as a mother to raise me, making all the sacrifices you made, and yet still chasing your dreams, catching your dreams, and being just an amazing, amazing woman and person in this world, and a blessing from God. So I love you, Mom, and we all love you and appreciate you. PJ, you gotta do the Dobby, right? After I say something like that. So with that being said, speaking on the NFL, I want to get into this for a second because it continues to be on my mind. Stephon Diggs is a Houston Texan now. Stephon Diggs seemingly was a little bit of a head case with the Buffalo Bills. Now, Stephon Diggs was the number one receiver, but he didn't always act like that. And my frustration with Stephon is that he would have moments where he was upset, and he would visibly show that. Now, I understand. See, this is the thing about life. It's not that you can't have emotion. I think people fight about this stuff, and they don't hear each other. It's not that someone says to not have emotion. It's not that you're not allowed to have emotion. It's about controlling that emotion. You can have emotion, but you have to control that emotion. And when you know that the cameras are on you, and you know you're on a sideline, and you know you're in the public, and you know there's tens of thousands of people at the stadium, and you know that there's potentially millions of people watching you, Stephon Diggs looked like a spoiled brat child on the sideline at times during the last couple of years with the Buffalo Bills. And when he would get frustrated, and he would be by himself. And then when he would celebrate, or the team was celebrating, he wasn't celebrating necessarily with Josh Allen. He wasn't celebrating with Gabe Davis. He was celebrating by himself. And the Buffalo Bills, in my opinion, missed the boat because the Buffalo Bills made a mistake. They let Stephon Diggs go in a trade, but they waited so long to trade him. They waited so long that they didn't get anything in return until hopefully something next year. But they gave up Stephon Diggs, a pick this year, a pick next year, and they ate $31 million of his contract. They ate $31 million of his contract, plus gave up 2 picks, plus gave up their number one wide receiver to get 1 second-round pick in 2025 from the Houston Texans. So Buffalo waited too long. They got almost nothing for him. But when your team is willing to take $31 million of a cap hit for a player that's not on their team, that to me is them saying, let's do whatever we have to do to get rid of this kid. So my question to you, PJ, is are the Houston Texans better with Stephon Diggs, or are they going to be the next team that has to deal with somebody who's a little bit of a baby in the game?
Well, I think that if I'm not mistaken, he's only got a 1-year deal, so he's going to be a free agent at the end of next year anyway. So if I was Houston, I would just it's a difficult question to answer, Daniel. And I want to give the guy some credit because he's a good athlete, but he is a jerk. He's an egotistical fool. He's a baby. Josh Allen is the full focus of that franchise in Buffalo. Now, he didn't want to share that focus, in my opinion. He didn't want to share that focus with Josh Allen. He wanted it all. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Stephon, who do you think's going to throw you the ball? Well, who do you think's going to block for them while he's throwing the ball to you? So you're third in this list here, Stephon. What don't you understand about that? You're not blocking for him. You're not the quarterback that's throwing. You're the receiver. So being third, I guess, didn't suit him. That's probably what they told him. They said, listen, we just can't deal with your ego anymore. We'll find a spot for you, and we'll get something back. I think it's a good move. I wouldn't. It reminds me of Antonio Brown. You know, these guys don't need to be in the league if they're like that. You know, go play in the UFL or something like that. Go over to Europe. I'm not even sure Europe has a league anymore. But Stefan doesn't. He doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be. He needs his own team. If that's what he wants. He wants to buy his own team and be the best receiver. Go ahead.
Well, you know, and you talk about his contract, and to let people know, because when you look up his contract, it is confusing because it does look like it runs a bunch of years, but it's only a 1-year deal. Now, this is what happened. The move to get Stephon Diggs to the Houston Texans created 4 void years to Stephon Diggs' deal that he had with the Buffalo Bills. So money that was originally going to come to him in 2025 comes to him in 2024, and the deal is only for 1 year. Now, essentially, Diggs is getting $22.52 million for this year because the deal is only 1 year. And he's going to make money from the Buffalo Bills, but this is all, I mean, this is what he has. The Bills had to eat dead cap money of $31 million, $31.096 million. They had to eat to get rid of him, which to me is a telltale sign to the Texans of like, if we're willing to take a dead cap hit of $31 million to a guy who's going to give nothing to the team this year, we're kind of telling you we wanted to get rid of him at all costs. And I think they waited too long, but I mean, think about this. You wait too long, you let all this stuff go, all these wide receivers move around, find new teams, you get closer to the draft, and instead of just holding on to Stephon Diggs and trying to make it work for another year, they're willing to lose over $31 million for a player not on the team. That, to me, tells me we would rather have him out of the building and pay a high price than have him in the building and earn that money while he's in the building. That says something to me about the situation. And now he's on a 1-year deal with the Texans for $22.52 million. But here's my thing with the Texans. You don't need him. You have Nico Collins. You have Tank Dell. You just brought in Joe Mixon from the Bengals to be your running back. You got C.J. Stroud, offensive rookie of the year. You got Will Anderson Jr., defensive rookie of the year. How many times has that happened that the guy drafted 2nd and 3rd overall on the same team in the same year end up being rookies on the defensive and offensive side? So you got a coach at DeMeco Ryans who's doing a good job. You've got a situation where you got the offensive and defensive player of the year for offensive defensive rookie of the year, pardon me. So you have the 2 rookies of the year. You have weapons to throw to. You drafted John Mechie III recently, and you're hoping that he'll pan out. You got a running back who's proven that he can be the guy on a franchise. So you don't need Stephon Diggs. And see, these are the situations, and this is not me hoping that somebody doesn't get a job. These are the situations where when Antonio Brown was a head case and he was arguably the best receiver in football and people realized how much of a head case he was, you don't need Antonio Brown to come to your team. You don't need to bring in Odell Beckham Jr. to your team. You don't need to bring in Plaxico Burress to your team. There were certain guys that were really talented, but there's these teams that are in great shape and doing well, and then they're like, should we bring in this guy? No. Why would you do that to your locker room? Why would you bring that into your locker room? Yes, they're talented, but look at the bouncing ball. And with the Buffalo Bills, at the point that they waited, they should have just kept Stephon Diggs because they weren't going to get anything for him. They're going to get hit in an egregious way in the bank account. But think about what they did. They did not have a good trade option. They did not have a dead cap money option. And they still let him go. They got punched repeatedly, figuratively, right in the gut for letting this guy go. What does that tell you? That they wanted him out of that building at any cost. So Houston, you may have a problem.
Yeah, they do. But you know what, Daniel? I'm going to throw this in here, too, because I think this is probably some of it, too. I think he's racist for one thing. He says, I'm not going to stick around here. This white coach and this Josh Allen, the white quarterback. And he starts thinking himself, starts talking with his buds, and he says, "All right, listen, trade me, but I want to go to Houston. Why do I want to go to Houston? Well, they got offensive player of the year, which you said, great young player, fabulous arm, and he's got a black head coach. So if you're going to send me somewhere, send me somewhere where I think maybe I can get along with people. Now, I'll guarantee you that was said. Maybe implied, but not particularly said. So, Houston, you're right, Daniel. They have a real problem.
Well, and I mean, I'm hoping that that's, not the case, and there's no stand for prejudice, sexism, or racism on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, on Superpowered Pop, on Do Diz with Dan, on Two Mics No Filter, on Comic Book Trails, or anything the Dan Tortora broadcast media does. We do not stand for racism, for prejudice, or for sexism of any kind, or any type of discrimination. That is not the world that I want people to be promoting and living in, and I hope that that's not the case. And if that had any truth to it, PJ, if it had any relevancy to it, I would hope that that's not the case. But in the case of Diggs, I don't see it as a racist thing. I see it as Diggs is very much not in control of his emotion at times, and he does not seem to be a team player. And the NFL and other leagues around the world have seen people that are really, really good and really, really talented, and they think they can get away with anything, and they can't. And, we've seen some really good players. I mean, Jalen Ramsey was a problem in the locker room. And, I mean, I looked at Jalen Ramsey was on one side for the Jags at corner, and A.J. Boye was on the other side. A.J. Boye, talented guy. Jalen Ramsey, talented guy. Jalen Ramsey, giant head case. Big problem. Big disease in the locker room. A.J. Boye, you didn't even know he was at his locker. I would walk up to him to do an interview. He'd be standing there quiet by himself. Jalen Ramsey's out there yelling into cameras, saying things, personally attacking people. And they were in two different parts of the locker room. And so I tell people that all the time. I'm like, when I was in the locker room with A.J. and with Jalen, I would go talk to AJ. I never went to talk to Jalen because I respected AJ. I had no respect for Jalen. And it's not because I don't think Jalen's talented. It's because as talented as he was a virus. He was a major virus in that locker room. I mean, think about what he said. When he came back, when they flew back from Pittsburgh and they knew they were going to play the Patriots, they landed in Jacksonville. He stood in the stadium and he said something along the lines of, "We're going to get those BITCHs." That's what he said about the Patriots. And I was like, not only do the Patriots have Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, and they rarely ever lose a game ever, now you've given them locker room material. And I remember hearing him say it, and I said, and Jacksonville is going to lose the game because he had to open his big mouth. And that's who he was. So, he goes to the Rams, and then he goes to the Dolphins, and I hope he has a fantastic career. He's a talented player, but he was a pain in the butt. Calais Campbell, awesome guy, humble guy, hardworking guy. I still miss him in Jacksonville. A.J. Boye, I still miss him in Jacksonville. Marvin Jones Jr., I'm going to miss him in Jacksonville. Riley Patterson, I miss him in Jacksonville. There's guys, and that's the thing that people don't get. 99.9999999% of the world is never going to be in an NFL locker room. But I have the blessing, by the grace of God, and a thanks to the Jaguars organization, and I would like to think my hard work, dedication, and determination to my craft, I'm in that locker room. And I can speak about that locker room over the last 13 years. And I can tell you when that locker room has been great, and I can tell you when that locker room has not been great, and I can tell you when that locker room's been teetering back and forth on, is it going to be good or is it going to be not so great? Trevor Lawrence, Tim Tebow, I would say Allen Robinson, even though he got hurt in that year that they almost made the Super Bowl, Marvin Jones Jr., Evan Engram, Calais Campbell, A.J. Boye, Chad Muma. There's a bunch of guys that were in that locker room or are in that locker room. Foye Oluokun, Roy Robertson Harris, that have built this team up. Mercedes Lewis. And I can speak Cam Robinson, as much as Cam's had his stuff. He's always, there to talk and work through things. Tyler Shatley, Trey Herndon, one of the guys I'm going to miss this year, Rayshon Jenkins. Like, there are guys in that locker room, Dewey, Andrew Wingard, that make the locker room better. And there are guys that don't. And you can't win a championship when you have head cases. I mean, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles and how good Donovan McNabb was, and they brought in Terrell Owens, and they didn't win the Super Bowl. And Terrell Owens, extremely talented. Giant, just spotlight for the wrong reasons, too. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see that, because if you're a fan of that team, you're like, man, this guy's a really, really talented guy. But he also is like yelling at the coach and yelling at the quarterback and yelling at this and yelling at that and yelling at fans. I mean, Jalen Ramsey, when I was at a Buffalo game, he was trying to egg on the fans and get the fans to continue to yell at him and swear at him. And that was the day where the Jaguars got in a fight with the Bills in the end zone by me. And Leonard Fournette, who's a running back, is punching a guy in his helmet with his hands. And I just remember watching this going like, this locker room is not good. It's not. And then look at those guys. Leonard Fournette's gone. Jalen Ramsey's gone. It's a different locker room now. But I can speak to that by the grace of God. I can actually talk to you about the Jaguars locker room because I stand in it. And I'm around them. And I watch them. In the last couple of years, it's been better. But it's not the best that it's been. There was a time where that locker room was really, really, really good. And I don't know if they're far off, and I don't think they necessarily are. But in the last 13 years, I've seen the locker room in all different shades of positive and negative. And I think that they're going in the right direction. I hope that they are. I think that, it's determinant of the people they draft and the people that they bring in free agency and trades and whatnot. And, what does Gabe Davis bring to the table? Which is ironic because I covered Gabe and Zay in the American, and Gabe was on UCF and Zay was on East Carolina. Now they're both on the same team. So that's going to be kind of a cool dynamic. But Jacksonville or any locker room, when we're talking about Stephon Diggs or whoever, there is a long line of really talented players that are a pain in the butt. And the pain in the butt always ends up winning, because no matter how talented you are, how you treat each other is what affects your locker room. And what affects your locker room affects your practice, and what affects your practice affects your game. So when people say, well, on paper, this team should win championships, why are they not winning? I tell people all the time, go to the locker room factor. Now, before we get into anything else, PJ, in the NFL, I do want to make a note here about a really sad thing that I found out about yesterday. And that is that an NFL draft prospect from Albany, A.J. Simon, passed away at age 25. Now, Albany's defensive line is known, the University of Albany, because of the fact of, you look at Jared Verse, who played for Albany, UAlbany, and then he transferred to Florida State, and I have him predicted as potentially going to the Jaguars in the first round at 17 overall. Well, another defensive lineman in Albany, A.J. Simon, he stayed in Albany, and he was supposed to be potentially drafted next week. He died at the age of 25. It says the UAlbany football program was deeply saddened to learn of the passing of former student athlete A.J. Simon. It was Amatral A.J. Simon this morning. A.J. was a tremendous young man and even better teammate throughout his time at UAlbany. He was a role model both on and off the field, serving as a pillar to this program over the last 2 decades. End quote. They put "We Love You 8" on there because that was his number. He had 12 and a half sacks last season for Albany. was ranked on the 400 as the 448th prospect in the NFL draft latest rankings here. He was an all-CAA first-team defensive selection. He came from Tobyhanna, Pennsylvania, which I know and have been to Tobyhanna and drove past Tobyhanna just a few weeks ago. He played the past 2 seasons for Albany. He began his collegiate career at Bloomsburg, which I also know that area, Bloomsburg University. And the head coach, Greg Gattuso, said, "My prayers are dedicated to the Simon family. I love you, AJ, and will always have a special place in my heart for number 8, end quote. So some sad news here, PJ, as somebody who is looking to potentially realize their childhood dreams has passed on, once again reminding us that life is precious and it is fragile and it should be celebrated and we shouldn't waste time. Can you hear us, PJ? Oh, we may have lost PJ here for a second. PJ, if you can hear us here, we don't can't hear PJ right here on the line, but a sad time for the passing of, I mean, it's a sad time anytime somebody passes away. For AJ Simon, sad to hear of this news this week, and we pray for his soul to be carried to heaven, for him to be safe and sound with the Lord and with his loved ones that have also passed on. And we pray that all of his loved ones here on earth and everyone whose life he has affected, that he is safe and sound and healthy and well. We do have PJ on the line now. PJ, can you hear us? Let's see here. We thought we had PJ on the line. We're going to try and get PJ back on the line here. We're going to take a step aside, but to the loved ones of AJ Simon and to AJ Simon as well, we pray that you're all together, even in death, because dying, you destroyed our death, and rising, you restored our life, God. We'll be back after this, and I hope the NFL does something to honor AJ Simon, because not only is it a sad moment, but there's about a week away from the hopes of hearing his name in the NFL. God bless. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. They are your hobby shop for your sports cards, your Pokemon, your Disney Lorcana, and for all of your supplies as well. They have everything that you need for all of your cards, whether it be you want to put them in a binder, you want to get a one-touch case, the magnetic cases, you need top loaders that are thicker for jersey cards, you need regular top loaders, sleeves, boxes, whatever it may be. They got everything there for you. Plus they have hockey, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, AEW, All Sport, UFC, and like I said, the Disney Lorcana and Pokemon while supplies last. I mean, I could tell you this morning they got hockey, and by noon they could be out of their hockey that they have. So you got to get over to GG Cards and Breaks, see what they have there today. They have a ton of cards in their cases, and those cases change throughout, so you never know what you're going to find in that case. You could be looking for a Shohei Ohtani on the Dodgers, and you went in last week and they didn't have any, and then you go in today and there's two. So definitely got to make it over to GG Cards and Breaks. Collecting cards and being in the hobby is something that I love because I mean, all ages get involved, and it's just something that's fun. You know, it's a wide open world of just collecting and supporting the teams that you love and the players that you love, and you got your personal collection, you got your collection where you want to trade and buy and sell and whatnot, and we get to see that on full display tonight at the Wildcat Sports Pub. So we look forward to seeing you on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus tonight, April 18th, for GG Cards and Breaks' third ever trade night at the Wildcat. They do trade night every month and do it at the store throughout the year, and this will be the third one we're doing on-site, on location at the Wildcat, and we'll be there tonight, April 18th, from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, in the Home Depot Plaza. We look forward to seeing you there for great food, great atmosphere, and a wonderful community of all ages sharing in this. If you've never bought cards, never traded, never sold before, come out and try it tonight. And if it's something that you love to do and you've done for a long time, come out and do it tonight. We look forward to seeing you. We made history. We had a great amount of people that came out at the first event. We made history at the second event. We're looking to break history tonight. We look forward to seeing you out there. I'll be on the stage. I'm bringing my collection. So come and buy, sell, and trade with me too. So my collection's going to be up on the stage. I'll be hanging out up there. I'll be on the mic as well. And we'll have some fun tonight. I very much look forward to seeing you and appreciate you for being in this awesome world of sports and trading card collecting. And it's been great to meet the people that we've met, and the people that GG Cards and Breaks has brought together is really special. So come see that on full display tonight. And it doesn't matter if you've never done it before. It's a great day to start at GG Cards and Breaks trade night at the Wildcat tonight, Thursday, April 18th happening at 6:30 to 9:30 p.m., and we're going to be on site at the Wildcat, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And, of course, you can go to GG Cards and Breaks, the store itself, every day of the week, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on Sundays from 10 to 5. So make sure you head out there today. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, I definitely appreciate you for being here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we got some questions coming in on, what's going on in the world of high school athletics, and I appreciate those and sending that stuff out. I'm really excited. Speaking of that we are going to be doing our first ever event at Heritage Hill North, which just soft opened on Friday. So about be it a week's time, very shortly here this week, from Friday to Friday, but they had a soft open last Friday, and that was the 12th, and they're right there on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse by Applebee's and by, like that whole, like in that, where Utica Pizza is and whatnot. So you will find Heritage Hill North. A lot of you go out to Heritage Hill Brew House. I did just a couple weeks ago, and was watching the women's NCAA tournament, as well as, dining with some fun people and having a good time for some Friday fish. So Heritage Hill Brew House out in Pompey, a lot of you know about, a lot of you have supported, and I appreciate it. It's a great location, and I like being out in the country. It's a lot of fun. Well, they brought their awesome Heritage Hill product and their brand to North Syracuse, and they're at Heritage Hill North now on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York. And Wake Up Call is going to be doing our first ever broadcast from on site at Heritage Hill North. And we're going to do it with the CNS North Stars boys lacrosse team, head coach Chuck Wilbur, and student athletes. We invite everyone from CNS to come out to Heritage Hill North next Wednesday, April 24th. We're going to start at 6:45 p.m. We look forward to having all of you out there. We also we look forward to having the CNS family, friends, supporters out there. We look forward to having alumni out there. Anybody who wants to come and support the team, support the school, support the community. CNS Boys Lacrosse, we invite the whole team, all the student athletes currently, all of their families, any former student athletes, alumni, their families, and anybody from the other teams, as well as, staff at CNS. I've done shows with CNS over the years. This is the first one that we're doing at Heritage Hill North. So they will have been open a little bit over a week's time, not even 2 weeks' time, and we're already going to be working to ingrain them in the community. Heritage Hill North, Wednesday, April 24th at 6:45 p.m. We will have Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora's Spotlight on-site special with CNS Boys Lacrosse, and we will have the North Stars with head coach Chuck Wilbur and student athletes on location at Heritage Hill on 628 South Main Street, North Syracuse. So we look forward to seeing you out there. This is why you watch the show live, because I have not even released this information until just now. So you're the first ones to hear it. You're the first ones to know about it. And you're the first ones to share it with your family, friends, coworkers, colleagues, and neighbors. So make sure Wednesday, April 24th, you know where you're going. And that will be at 6:45 to Heritage Hill North in North Syracuse, right down the road from CNS High School. And, of course, tonight you're going to the Wildcat for GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. out in Camillus. So a lot of great stuff going on, and I always appreciate being out in the community. We got our draft at Pizza Man next week that I talked about on April 25th. So you're going to be able to see Wake Up Call on site on location tonight, April 18th. You're going to see us Wednesday, April 24th. You're going to see us Thursday, April 25th. And you've already seen us out at Avicoli's. So thank you for your support. We packed Avicoli's, and that was awesome for girls lacrosse. And we just had girls lacrosse out at Pizza Man with Beeville. So thank you to all my awesome supporters. And, of course, I just emceed the boys basketball banquet for JV and varsity at the Wildcat with the West Genesee Wildcats. And thanks to Fred Kent and Eric Szynski for having me there and giving me such an honor. So, we're out in the community, folks. It's hard to miss us, and we look forward to seeing you. I'll be back at the Wildcat tonight, and I look forward to seeing you there, and then we'll be at Heritage Hill, and then we'll be at Pizza Man. So looking forward to seeing y'all tonight and next week. And I love supporting our community that I love so very dearly. So thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for showing up. We're continuing the NFL talk here on the show. And there's one move that I really like here that I want to jump into. Jim Harbaugh, I just feel like he's been making some good decisions. And by the way, PJ had to get off the air with us at 10:30. And so for those of you wondering, where did he disappear to? PJ had to jump off here because he has a doctor's appointment. And so I wanted to make sure I wanted to be able to, tell him to have a good day on the air, but he had to jump off for the doctor's appointment a half an hour early today. So say a prayer for PJ, send him some love in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless. And I wanted to let you know that PJ hopes you have a great rest of your week, and he'll talk with you next week on draft day, and that he appreciates you being here with us. So thank you for that love for PJ. Going to the NFL, Jim Harbaugh, I predicted if he went into the NFL that he was going to the Chargers. And that prediction came true. He's a Charger. I also made the statement that he goes and gets Justin Herbert, right? By going to the Chargers, he inherits Justin Herbert, who he didn't have to draft, which is huge. And in having Justin Herbert, and I shouldn't say go and get because he was there, but he inherits Justin Herbert, then your weapons are Keenan Allen, Mike Williams at wide receiver, and your running back, Austin Eckler. But those guys get injured, and they typically don't stay healthy together, and they were getting older. So he was going to have to move on from them maybe after this year or after 2 years. So I had made the statement that they're going to have to, look at beyond those players. They're going to have to move on from them eventually. They moved on immediately. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, none of them are Chargers anymore. So you got Justin Herbert. And if you're Jim Harbaugh, what do? Well, you need a running back. What did they go out and do? They got Baltimore Ravens running back J.K. Dobbins. 1 year deal, which I totally agree with because J.K. has gotten hurt multiple times. So you want to hope that he stays healthy. Now, he reunites with Greg Roman, who is his former offensive coordinator in Baltimore. And he also will be reunited with Gus Edwards, who was taken from the Ravens. So Jim Harbaugh looking over at his brother John Harbaugh's team and going, you got a couple good running backs there. I'm going to take them. So that's got to be a fun thing at the dinner table, right, when the family gets together, that Jim Harbaugh now has John Harbaugh's two former running backs, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. They're going to be on the team back here, or they're going to be on the other coast with the Chargers, and we'll see how all this shakes out, and how this works out. But hopefully things are going to be good here, and J.K. Dobbins can stay healthy, as well as Gus Edwards. I mean, Gus Edwards is old faithful. Whenever J.K. got hurt, Gus stepped up. Then somebody else would get hurt, Gus stepped up. Gus seemed to be the safety blanket for Lamar Jackson, and I'm going to be paying close attention this year to what that team looks like without Lamar's safety blanket. Does it affect the team in any way, shape, or form? I don't think Gus gets enough credit, and I've consistently given him credit here on the show and called him the safety blanket of Lamar and Old Faithful. And now without him there, does Lamar look as comfortable? Does Lamar have somebody he trusts as much? Because it seems like from the outside looking in, Gus was the guy that he seemed to have the best relationship with in the backfield. So we shall see. Now, there's another general manager, Joe Hortiz, is also coming from Baltimore to the Chargers, and tight ends coach Andy Bischoff is going from the Ravens to the Chargers, and tight end Hayden Hurst is going from the Ravens to the Chargers. So, Jim Harbaugh, apparently he was paying close enough attention. See, that's the thing. Maybe John Harbaugh was giving him a bunch of information. Hey, we got this guy, we got that guy. This is a great guy to have in the front office. You know, John's probably going to watch what he says from here on out to his brother Jim, because a bunch of former Ravens, where John Harbaugh is the head coach, are now in the front office and or on the field for the Los Angeles Chargers. So we'll see what Dobbins can do here. He's 25 years old. He averaged 5.8 yards per carry during his career. So, I mean, that's huge. That's not one season. That's not a few games. As a career running back in the NFL, he's averaging almost 6 yards a carry, which is getting the team 6 out of 10 yards to a first down on average, which is huge. It's the highest among running backs with at least 200 carries since 2020. And he has produced a run of 10 or more yards on 15.4% of his attempts, 36 of 234 carries over the past 4 seasons, which is behind only Nick Chubb, who is 17.1% in producing a run of 10 or more yards. So he's done that on 17.1% of his attempts. And Jaylen Warren, who's done it on 15.5% of his attempts. And Jaylen Warren of the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is kind of ironic here that the best running back of producing a run of 10 or more yards on an attempt, the best percentage, all 3 of those running backs come from the AFC North. Nick Chubb, a Brown, Jaylen Warren, a Steeler, and J.K. Dobbins did that when he was a Raven. Now, he set a Ravens rookie record with 9 touchdowns, and he was set to take over the starting role, but he had a left knee injury in the preseason finale back in 2021. In 2022, he wasn't at full go, and he missed 9 games while trying to come back from a knee injury again. So the prayer is that he will be healthy and well, because heading into the 2023 opener, he was 100% healthy, according to him, for the first time in 3 years. Then 5 minutes after halftime of the Week 1 game against the Houston Texans, he took a short pass to the right flat and injured his Achilles and got it, obviously went down again. He was a second-round pick out of Ohio State in 2020. He has 1,347 rushing yards and 12 touchdown runs in 24 games with Baltimore. He is one of 3 running backs to be drafted in the first 2 rounds by the Ravens. The others were Jamal Lewis and Ray Rice, who ended up being really good for the team. So the biggest thing with J.K. is staying healthy, and the insurance plan for an injured J.K. Dobbins in Baltimore was Gus Edwards. Now, potentially, the insurance plan for J.K. Dobbins getting hurt in Los Angeles with the Chargers is also Gus Edwards. So we shall see. I think it's a good move, though, and I just hope that he stays healthy. We haven't seen a healthy J.K. Dobbins really just go out and, rip apart defenses. We've seen it, but we haven't seen it consistently, and the hope is that we will. And as a cautionary tale to John Harbaugh, probably don't tell your brother any more information about your team, since he's already been taking a bunch of Ravens and putting them on the Chargers. So that'll be interesting here. We do have an official. The NFL officiating chief is set for a new role here. NFL officiating chief Walt Anderson is stepping aside amidst a reorganization of the league's officiating department. And this coming from sources here who spoke with ESPN. Anderson, who retired as a referee in 2019, initially joined the officiating department as its senior vice president of training and development. Under the initial vision, he was supposed to work along 2 other executives, Perry Fewell and Al Riveron, to lead certain segments of the department. Ultimately, Anderson unofficially ascended to the top leadership position. Riveron left his full-time role in 2021, while Fewell is expected to continue in his role. Anderson is going to remain with the league in some capacity, and his job will eliminate the nepotism rules that prevented the NFL from hiring his son Derek as an official last year. So his job shift will eliminate nepotism rules that kept his son Derek from being an official. The NFL has not confirmed Anderson's decision or named a replacement. There has been sources over the past year that the league favors having former coaches such as Fewell, as well as in its leadership group. And longtime assistant coach George Stewart in 2023 was hired to serve as vice president of training and development. FootballZebras.com first reported this move by Anderson. So we'll see. But there's been a potential some shakeup to the officiating world. And there's also been a little bit of shakeup to the Pat McAfee show. Bill Bellies is going to be on it. Bill Belichick, who you commonly know is not opening his mouth when he speaks, is going to be on a broadcast. A man of few words who seems to mumble and barely open his mouth outside of a small circle is going to be on the Pat McAfee show. He will be part of the team on the Pat McAfee Draft Spectacular, which is airing on YouTube and ESPN Plus. And now Bill Belichick said, quote, "I'm looking forward to it. Draft weekend's always an exciting time for everybody, for the teams that are building their teams, and for the fans and for everybody involved in it. So it's a great event. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. From the other side, it will be fun to be in Detroit," end quote. So we will see this. Bill Belichick said, quote, when he talked about frequent trades during the draft, and he said, "I think I can, give a little insight into maybe what the conversations will be in those rounds. I've made a few trades," end quote. Now, Belichick and the Patriots parted ways in January, and he was not hired by any other team to be their head coach. So he will be working in television, which will be interesting to see. He had 333 career victories, including the playoffs in New England. Second all-time behind Don Shula's 347 that Don Shula had at Miami. And it'll be the first time since 1975 that Bill Belichick will not be coaching in the NFL in some capacity. So, but he'll be on the Pat McAfee show, which I think that you should all watch and enjoy outside of watching and enjoying our mock draft on draft night from Pizza Man that's happening on April 25th, the first night of the draft, with Al Romano and myself, Dan Tortora, bringing you our draft show and our draft predictions for the entire first round at 6 p.m. Thursday, April 25th, and the draft will officially start at 8 p.m. following our mock draft. So we look forward to seeing you out at Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York. And for those of you out of town, you can watch on all the channels you're on right now. You can watch and listen on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and you can listen on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So we look forward to you being a part of the show, and I don't want to take anything away from McAfee, but you can watch McAfee after you watch our show at 6 o'clock. So, but, that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. And all jokes aside, I hope the best for Pat McAfee and Bill Belichick in their show. Now, Dak Prescott, there's a lawsuit against him that it was filed in Texas against him by a woman accusing him of sexual assault that's been moved to Collin County from Dallas County, according to the plaintiff's attorney. So last week, the suit was dropped in Dallas County after the plaintiff's attorney submitted a request for a, quote, non-suit without prejudice, which allowed the accuser to refile the suit later. In an email, the move to Collin County was made, quote, for purposes of convenience, end quote, since Prescott's initial suit seeking damages was brought in that county. So in March, Prescott filed a suit seeking monetary relief in excess of $1 million after receiving a letter in January from attorneys Bethel and Yoel Zahai on behalf of the woman accusing Prescott of sexually assaulting her in February 2017. The letter stated, quote, despite the tragic events, she is willing to forego pursuing criminal charges along with disclosing this information to the public in exchange for compensating her for the mental anguish she suffered. The woman's damages are valued at the sum of $100 million, end quote. Ain't that nice? You know what? I went through a lot, but I don't want you to go to jail. I'll just take $100 million. Interesting. In his suit, Dak Prescott committed to donate any such relief to the Joyful Heart Foundation or another, quote, like-minded organization, end quote. The accuser then filed a civil complaint and a police report over the incident that occurred in 2017. In March, Prescott's attorney, Levi McCathern, called it a, quote, completely fabricated story, end quote, and Prescott, quote, has never engaged in any non-consensual sexual conduct with anyone, end quote. Dallas police said this week an investigation is still active to what happened back in 2017. And Prosper, Texas police are investigating Prescott's extortion claims against the accuser. So, once again, innocent until proven guilty. And unfortunately, in the world that we live in, there are people that were victimized and there are people that are opportunistic. And I hope in this case we find out the truth, because unfortunately in today's America, men are guilty until proven innocent. And that is a very severe attempt at a course correction of men getting away with stuff in the past. And I think any man or woman, and people don't realize this, and as being a victim myself of verbal and physical abuse by a woman, I can tell you without doubt that a lot of men don't come forward. So I did not. I never went to the police. I didn't really think that I was a victim until I spoke to somebody in the field of talking about this stuff, and he said, you're a victim, and I said, no, I'm not. And he said, why? And I said, because and he goes, finish your sentence. He goes, I know what you're going to say, but finish it. I said, because I'm a man. He goes, right. And that's what's wrong with society. And that happened. I was victimized by someone I dated back in 2004. That's 20 years ago. So, I think the Me Too movement in getting people to speak up that were victimized is good, but men were excluded from that movement, and it was discriminatory. So as much as I want women to come forward and share and have peace with it, you cannot discriminate from having men come forward from abusive women. And there's also the world that we live in where people will make accusations in an attempt to collect money. And whenever somebody drops a criminal charge and then asks for $100 million from a civil lawsuit, that speaks to me of, did it actually happen? Because if I was victimized by somebody, I would seek a criminal charge. I wouldn't seek money. What's money going to do? Somebody attacked me, somebody raped me, somebody verbally or physically abused me, and I don't want them to be taken off the streets. I just want $100 million. Like, I'm not saying that this didn't happen with Dak Prescott. I can't speak for the woman. I can't speak for him. But what I can speak for is I take a very careful eye to cases of sexual misconduct or any type of abuse where people do not seek to put that person behind bars and protect the rest of the world from becoming a victim, but instead just ask for money and are fine with that person going free. If you are an abuser, I don't think you should be left in the world to continue abuse. I think you should be held in a cell to think about your actions and hopefully ask God for forgiveness and change your ways. When someone goes, oh yeah, I was abused by somebody, just give me money, I always take a careful eye to that. Not saying that it didn't happen, I just take a careful eye to it. And I think that men and women should be able to stand in solidarity in a Me Too movement. Because as a man who was abused and had his life threatened in an attempt of the person I was dating to take my life, who is a woman, I can speak very openly and strongly about any movement for justice for victims of domestic violence and abuse of any kind should be a man and woman movement. Not a man movement and not a woman movement, but a combined movement of men and women speaking up against abuse. And I think any movement that seeks to help people but discriminates against people while helping other people is really a movement that's somehow making it a hypocrisy of what they're doing. So I am all for people speaking up, but I do not discriminate color, religion, background, money, or gender on who should be allowed, or orientation on who should be allowed to speak up for abuse. If you've been abused by somebody, I hope that you speak up, and I hope that you seek peace, and I hope that you find open arms to welcome you. You know, Johnny Depp, in his case against Amber Heard, that gave me some peace, because it let me know that I'm not the only man, and it also put into perspective to the world, because he's such a high profile, that men get abused too, and that we are commonly treated as, we're a man, that's a woman, who's going to believe you? And Johnny Depp having the platform that he had made me feel like I was heard, and I appreciate that. So, you know, the Dak Prescott case, I hope it's not true, and if it is, then I hope Dak asks God for forgiveness and reflects and changes, and I hope that this woman finds peace. If it's not true, then I hope that this woman seeks forgiveness, because you can ruin somebody's life. I mean, you look at, there are people that have done bad things in the world and it's been brought to light, and there's people that didn't do bad things in the world and people accuse them of it and they ruin their lives. There's people to this day that live a somewhat reclusive life out of the public eye because someone accused them of something that they did not do. And that's followed them. Perception should not be reality. Facts should be reality. And in the world of entertainment and sports and money, there are people that do bad things. And there are also people that pretend that people did bad things because they see it as a way of making money. And those people should be ashamed of themselves. So whatever this case ends up being specifically, I hope to God this woman's not lying, and I also hope to God that Dak didn't do this, because either way, it's a bad situation. Either he did a bad thing or she did a really bad thing. So it's unfortunate, but this world needs to strive to be honest and forthcoming, and any movement that seeks to get rid of abusers should be a unified movement. How do you have a movement to help people that's discriminatory? Doesn't make sense. Will the Jacksonville Jaguars make the playoffs is one of the polls that we put up last week, and you have answered me on X, and you could go on X at any time and vote in our polls. Make sure to follow us at CallDT. That's CALLDT. Will the Jaguars make the 2024-25 NFL playoffs? 76.5% of you said yes, and 23.5% of you said no. So the majority of you believe that Jacksonville will be going to the postseason this season. Interesting. So that being said, we had a ton that we talked about today, a lot of things that we got to that were bigger than sports, and I thank you for tuning in and listening, and I thank you for hearing me speak on those that obviously have gone through tragedy here in our community. Also speaking on love and respect and solidarity for those law enforcement officials that take their job very seriously and protect and serve everyone equally and do things in a caring, compassionate, and godly way. I also thank you for listening to the bigger story of abuse and how it can happen to men and women, and not just one or the other. So I do appreciate your conversation and your openness, and I hope that you always know that this is a safe space for everybody, as this show does not discriminate in any way, shape, or form. And we do not stand for prejudice, sexism, or violence of any kind, nor do we stand for racism. So I should not have to say that, I should not have to ask people to stand with us on that, but in the world we live in today, there is a great irony of how some of the loudest yellers against racism, prejudice, sexism, or discrimination of any kind are discriminating in some way, shape, or form at the time that they're asking you not to discriminate. We live in a world that's very do as I say, not as I do. And that world will collapse upon itself if not spoken about, restructured, and changed. That's why I open my mouth, because I believe that you should be who you say you are, and you should live a life where you are actually giving to others what you ask people to give to you. Or else, what are we doing? Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is proudly brought to you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Facebook.com and YouTube.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, as well as on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Once the shows go live, they hop into the archives, and you will find them on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube, amongst others. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of these, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Of course, a big time thanks to all of our partners, and we ask you to go and visit them in Central and Upstate New York, the wonderful, wonderful team that we have that I am so grateful. When I look at these logos, I see the great people behind them, the good people, the honest people, the hardworking people, and the people that have stayed true to their word in the deeds that they have and have done just wonderful things. So these aren't just businesses. These are businesses that are run by people that I have respect for and appreciation for, who have lived up to their word to me and who I believe are out in the community doing good things, because we here at Wake Up Call and at Dan Tortora Broadcast Media do not take lightly putting a logo up in connection to our logo unless we really believe in those people, believe in their services, believe in their products, and believe in how they treat others. So a thanks to Carvel DeWitt, a thanks to the Wildcat Sports Pub, to Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, K9 Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, K9 Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, as well as Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find your Dolphins on Wednesdays during Dolphin Time, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, first and third Wednesday of each month. AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, giving you an inside, exclusive, behind the scenes, and a lot of times never before heard information about Lemoyne College. Second and fourth Wednesday of each month, the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. And you could catch all of this by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and hit the notification bell. And of course, you'll find our Lemoyne playlist on our YouTube channel. You'll also find the Dolphins by swimming over to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, as well as underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. Fins up. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse. They have two locations, one on James Street in Syracuse, New York, and the other in Liverpool right off of Route 57. Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse offering you the Bobcat Buzz, which is an inside look at the student athletes, coaches, and administration that make up the fantastic community of Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. Men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, as well as baseball and esports all find their home on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Bobcat Buzz. You can find the Bobcats monthly on our broadcasts, And of course, you could find them all the time on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course, you can find the BSC Syracuse playlist on our YouTube channel. You can also find the Bobcats by going over to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. Go Bobcats. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media are proud to be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner with the Binghamton University Bearcats as well. You'll find the Bearcats during Bearcat Time on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, which happens every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That's Tuesdays at 10, and we bring you each month our specials known as Moments with Marshall, featuring Athletics Director Gene Marshall of Binghamton University, giving us a behind-the-curtain look at Binghamton University and the athletic department and what is and what's to come, as well as our Bearcat Break Room, which goes into stories with student-athletes, coaches, and administration of the Binghamton University Bearcats. You could find all of this content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and hit the notification bell. And of course, you can also find the Bearcats by clawing your way over to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and under the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank Papa Joe for being a part of the show today. I want to thank you for watching and listening to our content on the football and baseball world, as well as our greater content on standing up against any abuse done to anybody anywhere in the world, as well as sticking up for law enforcement and all of the good people that take very seriously the non-discriminatory oath of protecting and serving all of us for the greater good. I am wearing blue today in support of law enforcement. I will continue to do that. I hope you do as well. And I hope beyond what you're wearing today, you support law enforcement with your prayers, with your well wishes, your kind thoughts, and your positive feelings and goodwill, and your actions and words. So please be good to each other, to everybody in law enforcement that has given an oath to God and to your community. I appreciate you. I thank you for those of you that have lived up to that oath and done everything that you could to do right by others. And I pray that you put that badge on proudly today, and that you understand that there are people, including myself, that love you dearly, even if we never meet you, appreciate you dearly, and value you tremendously, and that never needed a tragedy or something to happen close to home or at home in order to appreciate law enforcement. I value you, I respect you, and I thank you for taking an oath and living by it, protecting and serving everyone without any discrimination and any hate. God bless you all, and may God bring you home safely every single day to your family, as you help bring us home every single day safely to our family. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. I'll see you tonight at the Wildcat for GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night on location at the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. tonight, April 18th. And in the meantime, and as always, God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon. Be well, everybody. God bless Central and Upstate New York. God bless America. God bless every country, every community, every planet, every solar system, every sun. God bless the universe. And thank you, God, for the opportunity to have life. Be well. God bless you all.